Imagine being promised a 50% return on your money in just 90 days. It sounds like a dream, right? But for thousands of people in the 1920s, this dream turned into a nightmare. This is the story of Charles Ponzi, the man whose name became synonymous with financial fraud. Charles Ponzi was born in Italy in 1882. In 1903, he arrived in the United States, full of ambition and hope for a better life. Like many immigrants, he struggled at first. He worked odd jobs, barely making enough to survive. Ponzi's charm and intelligence were undeniable, but his impatience to get rich quickly led him down a darker path. After a failed stint in Canada, where he was jailed for forgery, Ponzi returned to the US, ready to start over. In 1919, Ponzi stumbled upon an idea involving international postal reply coupons. These coupons were used to prepay postage for letters sent across countries. Ponzi claimed he could buy them cheaply in Europe and sell them in the US for a profit, thanks to differences in currency values. The idea sounded legitimate, but there was one big problem. The profits from trading these coupons were tiny. To make real money, Ponzi would have needed a massive global operation, which he didn't have. Instead of focusing on the coupons, Ponzi came up with a bold plan. He would take money from new investors and use it to pay returns to earlier ones, creating the illusion of a successful business. Ponzi promised investors a 50% return in just 90 days, and he delivered. At first, investors were thrilled. Word spread, and soon people were lining up to give Ponzi their savings. By mid-1920, Ponzi was a celebrity. He made millions in just a few months, living the high life while continuing to take in more and more money. But there was a problem. Ponzi wasn't actually making any profits. He was simply recycling money from new investors to pay earlier ones. The entire scheme depended on a constant flow of new money. As Ponzi's popularity grew, so did suspicions. Reporters and financial experts began asking questions. How could he deliver such extraordinary returns? Where was the money really coming from? In August 1920, the truth came out. Authorities discovered that Ponzi had taken in over $15 million from investors, worth over $200 million today, but his so-called business was a complete fraud. Ponzi was arrested and charged with multiple counts of fraud. Thousands of people lost their life savings and the economy of Boston was shaken. Ponzi's empire, once admired, crumbled overnight. Charles Ponzi served several years in prison before being deported back to Italy. He lived the rest of his life in poverty, dying penniless in Brazil. Ponzi's scheme wasn't the first of its kind, but it was the one that gave the scam its name. Today, a Ponzi scheme refers to any investment scam that uses money from new investors to pay earlier ones, eventually collapsing when the money runs out.